welcome back to my YouTube channel, and welcome to a Sunday chat. It's been a minute, I feel like, since we've done the Sunday chat, but I have a few things that I can chit chat and rant on about, mostly things that I've either talked about on TikTok or Instagram, but I'm gonna bring it to Sunday chat. I can talk a little more in depth if I want to. Short form, you gotta keep it short. While we talk, I am going to make me some coffee. It is Sunday morning. It's 11 o'clock a.m. I've already been to the gym, folded some clothes, filmed 2 short form videos, had my first breakfast protein shake. So I'm just on a ball. I'm filming this. I'm going to edit it. Hopefully I can have it posted by 3 p.m. And then I'm going to do some writing on my book. So Sundays, we like to get things done. I've already ordered groceries. Those came yesterday. I needed a couple household things. Those came this morning. We're on the ball. First, I need to fill up my electric kettle so we can put some water in there. Isn't it cute? Cute, I know. It's going to make a little bit of noise. Act like you don't hear that. The first thing that I want to talk about is something that I saw literally this morning, and I made a quick little Instagram post about it, but I need to rant about it, so I'm going to use Sunday chat. It was oh wait, I need this too. It was a video clip from Shannon Sharp's. Hold on, I don't need it to get that hot, so I'm gonna stop it now. I just need it to get warm enough because I'm going to make some espresso in my little cutie mocha pot, and you just need the water to be warm. It doesn't need to be piping hot when you're making it. But anyway, it was a clip of Shannon Sharp, and he had Paul Pierce on his podcast. Now, I don't make it a habit to watch Shannon Sharp's podcast. I actually detest it. He is not my favorite person, and it was long before the situation with that young girl. It's him and Paul Pierce, men that are in their 40s and 50s, right? And they're having this conversation. Now, I didn't see the conversation for full context, but I don't need to, because I just feel like these are 2 men that are way too old to be having these conversations and even dating or interacting with women in this type of, please, besides money, neither of you have any redeeming qualities. So how dare you even be having this conversation? Anyway, in the clip, Shannon Sharp was asking Paul Pierce about something that he said as it relates to the attractiveness of a woman. And in the clip, they have an image of a woman that looks like she's maybe in her 20s. She looks like a young girl. Now, mind you, these are men in their mid to late 40s, and Shannon Sharp is damn near 60. Right? And so they have an image of this young lady, but they're talking about just smush it in there like that. They're talking about settling for a 5 and forgetting about trying to date 10s, because basically 5s are easy, 10s are too much trouble. And like I said, it's alarming to see men of that age still break relationships, or how they choose who they're in relationships down to something as trivial as a woman's attractiveness. And like I said, neither one of these men have any redeeming qualities. Their redeeming qualities ended with their careers. Paul Pierce just got in trouble for what? I can't, let me look it up. Let me not lie on him, but I know I just saw him in the news for something. Hold on. He was arrested for a DUI last week. How old is Paul Pierce? Hold on, he is 48. I didn't even realize he was that fucking old. 48 years old, being arrested for a DUI. You look like you ain't never clenched your face or shaved your head ever. And he been looking like that, right? And then we all know what's going on with Shannon Sharp with his race play and dating women that are far too young for them. I don't care if they're the legal age or whatever the case may be. Like I said, 2 men that have 0 redeeming qualities for them outside of the careers that they haven't had in years. And neither one of y'all are close to a 10 in my eyes, if I'm keeping it a bean, right? Especially Paul Pierce. Shannon Sharp is, he got a nice body or whatever the case may be, but he dress whack, he act whack. He has, in the words of Julesy, a very ancestral face. So you ain't no 10 either, right? So the fact that these men have the audacity, right, to even think that they can rank women based on how they look, when the only reason that y'all got as much play as y'all got is because you were athletes and you had money, is crazy to me. If you were regular niggas driving trucks with a CDL, trust me, you wouldn't get the play you be getting. We bubbling, so that means it's time to turn it off because you don't want it to burn. Once it starts bubbling and coming up through the top of the mocha pot, you just turn it off and let the heat do its thing. In the meantime, I am going to prepare my little sweetener. I typically drink that with a little bit of water, and that's my coffee, because y'all know I'm cutting out any like additional calories because I'm on this workout plan and it's working for me. But on Sundays, we give ourselves a little treat. And so I'm going to foam up a little bit of my favorite creamer, which is this Chobani cold foam. Oh my God. Oh, sweet cream cold foam. Chobani sweet cream. Chobani sweet cream. I add cold foam on there because I used to get, like, as a treat when I used to go to Starbucks. I haven't been to Starbucks in 2 years now almost. Just a little bit, not too much. One serving size of this is only a teaspoon. So this is about 3 serving sizes, which is 30, 60, 90, 105 calories. Just for the, like, literally, let me show you how much. That's all the cold foam that's in there, not even that much. And that's 105 calories. So when y'all be getting all that shit in y'all coffee, that's why y'all stomach be hanging over y'all pants like that. Anyway, I like to foam it up a little bit. But I was saying, when I used to go to Starbucks, I would get my Americano hot, and I would get a little sweet, cold foam put on top of it as a little sweet treat. That's enough. I'm gonna just pour some of the coffee in here. Just like a shot of espresso. That's like a shot, maybe a little more. And then I fill it, not the rest of the way, but I put about equal amount of water in there. And that's my little drink. That's my little coffee drink. As you can see, it's not a full cup. It's literally half of this cup. I still want to taste the espresso. I want it to be strong. So that's not even like a full cup of coffee, but it's exactly perfect. Look at that color. That's perfect. Anyway, I think that's really good evidence for the conversation Tracee Ellis Ross was having earlier this year, where she was talking about the fact that she typically dates younger just because she finds that men her age, in her age range, are mentally stunted, like politically, socially, like just the way that they think and they act is like it's light years below like her personal evolution, right? You have 2 middle-aged men sitting up here judging women on a number scale, a 5 or 10. Like, I'll get you a 5 because, you know, they less trouble and stuff like that. And so many men were annoyed at the fact that she said that. That's your proof positive right there. And these are men that are not only her age range, but also within her network and net worth, right? So these are men that she is directly in community with. These are the men that she would directly date. Imagine how these broke men act. Ooh, Savannah, slow down. It's crazy that men out here with no dollars, right, think they get to act like that too. Those men think they get to act like that because they got a little money and people place value on money, and they have status because they were athletes. I get why they think they could act like that, and so many women still fall at their feet. But it's crazy to me that a regular Joe Smo would think that he could also act like that and then get mad when women don't fall at their feet and then be in their comments talking to him crazy. When that conversation happened with Tracee Ellis Ross, I made a video. I can't remember exactly what it was about, but I remember mentioning that conversation, and I had a man in my comments like, you mean to tell me if Shannon Sharp or try to talk to you, wouldn't talk? No. Shannon Sharp can have Jeff Bezos money. Knowing what I know about Shannon Sharp and seeing what I see from Shannon Sharp, I don't care how much money I can't be bought. I don't need a man's money anymore. Young Angela might have fell for it. But I don't need his money. Unfortunately, I done got to the age where I date because I like men. Young Angela would have dated him for the money. It wouldn't have even mattered. But like, I date men because I like them, unfortunately. And so that's why I don't do a lot of dating. So no, I don't care if it is Shannon Sharp. I wouldn't date him. He is a terrible person. He's very unattractive. He has really terrible morals and standards. And like, so no, I won't. You would though. And that's literally what I feel like it boils down to with a lot of men that get offended when women say stuff like this and get to defending them, these men. You want to fuck. You want them. Oops. Try to keep it PG on YouTube, but you want. It's pretty much the same thing with the Ayesha Curry thing. That's not one of the topics, but like, now that we're going there. Like, women being mad at Ayesha Curry for what she's saying, to me, is a bunch of women who have this like perception that marriage and a husband and a man is going to ride in like a white knight and make everything complete in your life, right? Like, once you get married, once you have children, everything is great. Like, you don't have any more issues. Like, your life is complete. And people like Ayesha Curry, they like poo-poo in the face of that, right? They are killing that dream, which so many of us say. I say all the time, girl, you know, you better have a sound idea of who you are and what you want, right? Because even married, that shit ebbs and flows. And I think Ayesha saying, hey, this isn't the life I had, and I had to learn to let go and mourn the life that I dreamed for myself, because this wasn't it. Like, it like flies in the face of like, when you get married, when you have children, and like, that is the right way to do stuff, and that is the best way to do stuff. You still have women that feel like they lost something, even if they have a very rich husband that plays sports and beautiful children, that I no doubt in my mind know that she loves, but she also gets to mourn the fact that that's not necessarily the life that she like dreamed for herself. And even though she is very successful in her own right, there are probably so many things that she did not get to achieve, like being an actress, because she ended up in the life that she ended up in. And yes, it was a choice of hers, but that doesn't mean that she still doesn't get to mourn it. In the same way that we, you know, made space for Tracy Ellis Ross to say, I may not never get married, I probably won't ever have children. That is something that I dreamed for myself. It just did not happen for me, right? By choice, by circumstance, whatever, it just didn't happen for me. I have learned how to live my life and be happy with the life that I have and nurture myself as I am. But I do that simultaneously while mourning the life that I didn't get to have. Why can't Ayesha Curry also do the same thing, right? Like I said, it diminishes this idealization. Is that a word? It diminishes this idealized perception that people have of like marriage and children and things like that. And on the flip side of that, as it relates to men, they idolize athletes. They want women to idolize athletes. They want Ayesha to idolize Steph in the way that they idolize Steph, and she does not. And that's men's problem, right? Where it's like they feel like she has everything. How dare she? If they had Steph Curry, they would never, right? And it's also crazy because Savannah James says the same thing. Like, she has literally said the same thing. She just is not as vocal as Ayesha Curry, and I think it has more to do with just her personality, right? Savannah at her core is a roundaway girl, right? You're gonna get what you gonna get out of her, not too much, because if you say something out of line, she gonna snap. So she know how to like say just enough and not too much to keep people out of her business, because if you get in her business, you say something crazy to her, media training be damned, she's gonna, like, you know what I'm saying, say something crazy about her, say something crazy about her kids, say something crazy about her man, right? So she keeps it cute because she knows she got to. But she has also said on her podcast or just in videos, and that's why I know people don't watch Savannah James or have never watched Ayesha Curry before Steph blew up, because I know Ayesha Curry through her YouTube channel. And this was before Steph and the Golden State Warriors went on that crazy run. So he used to just, you knew that she had a husband that played basketball, and he was Steph Curry, but he wasn't Steph Curry cooking with the pot or whatever Drake said. He was not that Steph Curry, right? And so I knew Ayesha through her YouTube channel, and I knew that she had a husband that played basketball. When he started blowing up the way that he did, I remember remember vaguely saying to my boyfriend at the time, that's Aisha's husband. And he was like, that's Steph Curry. I'm like, well, I know him because he be in her YouTube videos sometimes, and she would do homemaking videos and stuff like that. Very much like what she does now career-wise. Anyway, I say all of that to say, these men idolize Steph Curry and LeBron James and Shannon Sharp and Cam Newton and all these men with these shit ass like thought processes and behaviors way more than women do, and that's why they be so mad at us when we talk shit about their idols. We don't give a fuck about them niggas. Next up, I feel like this one is going to be quick. On TikTok, there was this woman going viral because she, you know, I'm a 30-year-old, I was a virgin, and I was a good girl, and I did everything right, and she get with this man, he take her virginity, he get her pregnant, and he leaves. She's very, like, religious, right? Into all in her bio, there's scripture, you know, in her videos, she's talking about God and da-da-da. Mind you, couldn't find out she wasn't even married to that man. Girl, okay, whatever, right? But it's this idea of like, and I, you know, I feel sorry, like this isn't me like laughing in her face. I feel sorry that society made you feel like there was a right way to do something that would garner you a specific outcome. And I don't know how many times I have to say this to young women. Oh, because it's not even just a young women thing. That's a 30-year-old woman, right? But it's also women older than that have this idea that if I present a certain way, act a certain way, do a certain thing, according to society, according to the church, according to whatever, then I can manipulate the outcome of my life, of my relationship, right? If I am a good girl and if I keep my body count low, then when I meet a man, he's going to cherish me so much that there is no way that he would treat me like those other girls who go out here and have casual sex or premarital sex or whatever the case may be. I'm better than them. I'm a good girl. And then when the same thing happens to them that happens to a lot of women, it's like, but I did everything right. We're telling you there is no right or wrong way to do anything. And a lot of people have said this too, but I have been saying this for the longest. Women that, you know, are super big into like purity culture or like, you know, no sex before marriage or, you know, good girl, keep my body count low, that type of stuff, are no different than women that like have a lot of sex or have sex with anybody, like whatever the case may be, that doesn't have any like rules or restrictions around who they sleep with or how many people they sleep with, whatever the case may be. You are both leading with your coochie. You both think that your coochie is like the magic thing that is going to like get you what you want from men. I say all the time, the only thing that you should be focusing on is being the best version of you for you. Right? Make sure you are happy with the life that you live, the money that you make, the interests that you have, the hobbies that you participate in. Like all you can do is the only thing that you can control is yourself. Relationships, romantic or otherwise, there is no certain thing that you can do to control the outcome of a relationship. I don't care if you marry a motherfucker and y'all together for 20 years. It does not matter. I don't care if you get married, then have a baby. I don't care if you think you do it the right. I don't care. There is no way to control the outcome of that situation because people are not controllable. The only person that you can control is you. So if you don't take the time to focus in on who you are, what you want out of life, what type of person that you want to be, and then move and live and exist in that, every time that somebody comes into your life relationally, again, whether it's romantic or otherwise, and they fuck you over, it's going to have you questioning yourself. And at the end of the day, people might come and go in my life, but I'm still the same old me. Always, always, always. Familial issues, romantic relationships, friendships, motherfuckers come and go. I'm still the same old Angela. One thing people can never say about me is I'm not 100% sure of who I am and that I move differently in any situation. That bitch had the same experience of me as that man, as that sister, as that brother. I am me through and through. Y'all gotta figure out who you are and what you want out of life, right? And stop letting society and the church, we about to get there, and you know, the internet and the way that other people do things dictate how you move through life and move through relationships. I say all the time, even when I'm talking about dating and relationships and things like that on social media, is that everything that I say is from experience. So this is not advice. It cannot be advice, because this is a singular experience based on the time, the circumstance, the person. It may be different for me in the next situation, right? It just really depends. So you can't take what I say, even here, as like Bible. You have to get out and have your own experiences and have your own mind and make your own standards, so that again, every time that you come in contact with somebody else and it does not end up the way that you think it should based off of your behaviors, you're not completely broken. This last topic may lose some people, and you know, that's fine, whatever. I mean, I love y'all, but you know, you're not going to agree with everything that I have to say, and I don't expect you to, right? Just like I just said on the last topic, everything, thought process, standard belief, whatever I have is based on my own experiences. I'm not on here talking about stuff that I don't have experience in. I'm not that type of gal. I don't do that, right? But there is a topic going viral on TikTok right now where, I don't know if y'all follow Deontay Kyle, but he is a podcaster. But in an old clip of his podcast, he made a statement, and of course the statement is inflammatory, but like and I said this in my comments to somebody where they were like, well, I understand what he's saying, but I wouldn't have said it like that. And I'm like, sometimes you have to say stuff, you know, inflammatory. You gotta be provocative. It gets the people going. One, it's the name of the game. It's a podcast, right? The idea is to get people's attention and get them to listen, right? But on the flip side of that, sometimes you got a gut punch to get them to hear what you're saying, right? And so, yeah, it may have been like abrasive to some people, but beyond the abrasiveness of the statement, there is provocative, like thought-provoking, like words there that I think that people really need to think about, right? But they don't want to, because then it falls into the face of their beliefs, and for some people their beliefs is all that they have. Anyway, he says Jesus is standing in the way of basically your liberation, but that's not what he's saying. I'm like paraphrasing it, but he was saying, you know, Jesus is standing in the way of you giving reverence, of you being thankful and appreciative, and giving thanks to your actual ancestors, like the actual people that bled, died, fought, marched, boycotted, like all of that for your freedoms and liberties that you have today, right? And anytime someone online or just in general mentions their ancestors or give thanks to their ancestors, you have people, particularly people that are Christians, right, that call themselves like Christians, they have a visceral reaction to that, right? You have people calling our ancestors like that's demonic and it's demons and, you know, all of that type of stuff, and it's voodoo and it's all of that. And so I made a video where I said I can't necessarily say for sure what Deontay meant from his statement. He doesn't necessarily give someone that is super religious, like he's never gave that. So like why so many people are shocked and appalled that he would say something like that is crazy, right? He doesn't necessarily give a nigga that is really into the church like that. But from my understanding, I gave an example. So I was scrolling TikTok like early in the morning, and it was a woman on TikTok, and she is on, I assume she's on public assistance based off of how she was talking about the government shutdown and the fact that they've started to send out notices saying, hey, no SNAP benefits, food stamps, like public assistance, any of that stuff that you may receive for the government, it's coming in the month of November. So she's making this video and she's talking about how they're, you know, how are we gonna feed our kids and our families and da-da-da. And at the end of the video, she says, but you know, I'm not worried about it. God will provide. And I gave the example that, because that's the only thing she said. She didn't say God will provide and I'm going to go out and Uber, or I'm going to go out and drive some Lyfts or DoorDash or anything, and I'm going to go and call my senator or march or do anything. It's just God will provide. And so I use that as an example to me of what I got from Deontay, what Deontay is saying. Like, the idea of Jesus being like this magic wand that is going to like magically like do, and then some food is going to come into your kitchen is like crazy, right? When you have physical manifestation, first of all, like I said in my video, that public assistance is your provision. That was God's provision. That is a provision, sister. That is him providing, and you don't have that no more, right? And that provision came off the backs and the bodies of people that y'all refuse to even acknowledge because it's demonic or it's voodoo or hoodoo or whatever y'all want to call it, right? You don't have the rights and the civil liberties and some of the social programs and things like that that you have without your ancestors, without black people, literal black people, who I also think are provisions from God, right? This is not a Angela doesn't believe in God. You know, I said in my video, like, I grew up in church and I had questions about, you know, just blindly following everything that the pastor said and the people in the church said because it didn't make sense to me. I also shared on TikTok before where I, you know, would watch my mom give her last dollar because they say you give it and God will give it back to you tenfold, and then later on in the week our damn lights will be cut off. And I'm like, girl. And I had so many people in my comments like, well, she wasn't listening right, or she wasn't, like, girl, what? Don't piss me off. Y'all know for a Fendi freaking fact, right, that the church in particular has a hold on the black community in a way that is very unhealthy, right? And so y'all coming on here telling me, oh, your mama she wasn't listening right. Don't piss me off. And then the lights eventually come back on because she's able to apply for some sort of like social program or something like that where they pay your bill and then the lights can be cut back on. A provision from God that comes through actual people on this earth. So God ain't up there just waving a magic wand and cutting our lights on. That's not how that works, right? And so why is there such an issue with giving reverence to people that organized back then and fought and bled and died and all the things like I said, and people that still do it today? There are still people that organize and work on your behalf in government, in your local communities, and all of that type of stuff that you don't even see, because all you do is blindly say, oh, God is going to provide, and not want to give reverence to the people that's really putting boots, or there are people putting boots on the ground. The very least that you could do is acknowledge those people, right? And that's really all that he was saying. That woman got on there and said, God is going to work it out. Faith without works is dead, sister. If you don't get your ass up and get in your car and deliver some food, or find you some organizations that you can jump into some protests and some community work, call your city. If you don't do something, faith without works is dead. The Bible also says that. It says God will provide, but it also says faith without works is dead. You ain't getting nothing without somebody living, breathing, human person on this earth working on your behalf, whether you know it or not, right? So I had a girl in my comments say, well, and I'm not making fun of her. She was like, well, you know, you're not going to tell me that God isn't a miracle where he doesn't, you know, there aren't miracles, because there was a time where I was out of food or whatever, and I had lost my job, and nobody knew, and I didn't tell anybody, and I was trying to find another job and I was having a hard time. And she was like, excuse me, randomly her auntie reached out to her and you know, basically gave her money just out of the blue, whatever the case may be, right? And so she was like, you can't tell me that God didn't hear my prayers and he provided for you. I said, yes, and you mean to tell me that you didn't also thank your aunt, give reverence to your aunt? You also don't give credit to her for getting you out of that jam. So you only say God provided. Yes, God provided, but if that person didn't exist and they didn't, whatever was like pushing them, whatever moved in her spirit, or, you know, in her thought process, maybe she saw you struggling. You don't think she saw you struggling, but maybe she saw you struggling, right? And maybe she thought, let me help her. You don't know what pushed her to help, but What if she didn't listen to that? What if she didn't listen to that, right? So I'm not saying that God doesn't hear your prayers, right? And things don't happen for you in ways that you can't explain. What I'm saying is there was a living, breathing person that also made that happen for you. And so for you to just be like, God, Jesus, when it's a little, like, to me, that's what I feel like Deontay was saying, right? You don't want to even give reverence to your auntie because you so holy that you can only give reverence to God. Me personally, like I said, I grew up in the church, right? And so, you know, churchy is just in my blood. The fallacies and, you know, fallacies and stories of the Bible, they are just in me. Even though, you know, sometimes I'm like, that don't make no sense, but it just is what it is, right? And I am one of those people that I give all reverence to God. I am not me without my faith, whether it's frivolous or not, whether this world end and it ain't no God, I do not care. Right? You believe in something or you fall for anything, right? And so there is not a time where I didn't pray to God and he did not provide for me. But I also recognize that every provision happened based off of my own action. So my works, along with the faith that I had, the prayers that I was doing, and also the people around me and their resources. I didn't get out of East St. Louis after losing my mom and having a not so great childhood, not a lot of resources, not a lot of guidance, without the actual work that I put into it. I prayed to God every night, I don't want to live this life. And then I went and did the thing. I took the test. I went to college. I did the thing. I did the work, right? When I got put out of the first university I was in, I remember crying like on my knees to God, like, God, give me guidance. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I never prayed and said, God, please give me a miracle. I said, God, give me the wherewithal, give me the idea, plant the seed in my head. And then I got up the next day and applied to a bunch of different schools. So when I got put out of school, I was already in another school. So it didn't matter that that shit was on my transcript. I had already got into another school, right? Work. When I got to that new school and I got to my last semester of school and I didn't have the money to pay for school, I cried and cried and cried. And I said, God, I need you again. I need you again. Just tell me what to do. Tell me what to do. At that point, I, was prideful and I didn't want to say anything to my aunt. And I didn't want to say anything to my sister, but I was dating a boy. And I remember God saying to me, Angela, you have to tell somebody. Just tell somebody, right? Tell somebody. So I was dating a boy and I said to him on that phone, I don't think I can come back to school for the last semester because I don't have no money. My brother can't co-sign for a loan for me. He just bought a house. When he went to try to co-sign for a loan for me, they said no. And I don't know what I'm going to do. The next week, I get a check in the mail from that boy's mom. I told him, he told his mom helped me. Faith, work, prayer, resources, other people. I'm going to give all reference to God, but I'm also going to thank myself and thank the people around me who were working on my behalf. And that includes all the way back to my ancestors marching and protesting and boycotting and doing all of these so that I get to sit here in this apartment and talk to you on this camera and exist in the way that I get to exist every single day. And if that makes me demonic, if that makes me a devil worshiper, like, what are y'all saying? Y'all are saying this about Martin Luther King was a fucking pastor. It's not funny. It's literally not funny. It's not funny. It's not funny. People are, I'm not a doctor, so I don't like saying this, but the psychosis of it all is, and it's getting worse. And I think because the economy is getting worse and the world is getting, everything is on the fuck fire around us, that people are clinging to religion in a way that they never have before. People that have never been religious before. And I find when people are first introduced to religion, right, they go really hard in. So a lot of these people, we are saying build a relationship with God for the first time, and people are always really intense. They jump off of the deep end, and eventually most people course correct. But I think it also has a lot to do with the fact that everything around us is imploding. People are losing jobs, people are losing family, people are losing homes. Like, you know, we don't know what's going to happen, and so people are just looking for something to believe, which is not an issue, but it's just like, calm down. Like, what if you, well, I'd rather believe in God, because what if you die and you ain't believing God, you gonna go to hell? What if you die and you was a Christian and the real God, the real religion was Buddhism? There's a proper term for that. Something's fallacy or something like that. I don't know. Don't give me the line. Maybe I'll put it on the screen, right? But what if you die and you realize that Islam was the real the religion that you should have been following? Anyway, that's it for today's video, because I could go on and on and on and on and on. And I've been advised to like keep these videos 10 to 20 minutes long. I'm sure I went over 20 minutes this time, but I'm trying. Anyway, let me know if y'all liked this style of like Sunday chat. Maybe I'll keep it like that, where I just like do a summation of like things that I've talked about or seen on social media during the week. So it'll give us like a plethora of topics in one video, and we'll try to figure out how to keep it under 20 minutes. Let me know in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, all of the things. And I will talk to y'all in next week's video. Bye. My coffee is cold. I'm about to warm it right on back up.